tensions are increasing in the Canadian capital of Ottawa, and the United States Special Forces carried out a raid in northwestern Syria.
The mayor of Minneapolis has put a moratorium on no-knock warrants, and the Washington National Cathedral honored victims of COVID-19.
And now, your 5 o'clock news on Channel 14.
Welcome to Channel 14 News right here on WCTV. I'm Jared Wiker.
And I'm Rachel Pellegrino. The season for motorcycles normally isn't until February, but every February, one Greene County group has made its biker event a staple over time. Riley Holsinger has more.
Greene County has rallied together and revved its engine the past 34 years for its motorcycle swap meet event.
It's like a little reunion of people, so they get to visit once a year while they're here.
The event was first started by Melody's husband, Bobby. Even though Bobby passed away back in 2020, Melody is still happy to carry on his legacy.
We're very grateful, and we still have the same vendors coming that started out with him.
There were several vendors in attendance selling items like used motorcycle parts, clothing, accessories, and more. Proceeds were raised for St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital and the American Cancer Society. Reporting for WCTV, I'm Riley Holsinger.
Last week, the famous groundhog Punxsutawney Phil emerged from his burrow to give his yearly prediction. WCTV's Rebecca Vaughn was at Gobbler's Knob to get the story.
As you can see here at Gobbler's Knob, the crowds are back and they just want to have fun. After the event was hosted virtually last year, like so many other events due to the pandemic, everyone is back here in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania as early as 3 a.m. to form the crowd you see behind me.
They came by the busloads.
Yes, you know, there's no school in Punxsutawney on Groundhog Day. It is a holiday. We get people on Gobbler's Knob by busing them here. We use their buses.
That makes sense.
So you can't go to school on Groundhog Day, you can come here.
Gathering around bonfires to stay warm in the 3 a.m. breeze from all ends of the earth for various different reasons.
We're from Albany, Oregon.
There was 4 people here yesterday from Germany.
My 50th birthday, thank you.
What made you decide you wanted to come to Punxsutawney for your birthday?
So my brothers and I came here for my 30th, so 20 years later we're back and we're sharing the experience with our wives.
To take part in a tradition that has been happening for over 100 years.
And we officially count 1887 as the very first trek. It was reported in 1886 that the groundhog had not appeared at the time of going to press of the Punxsutawney Spirit.
As time ticked closer to the main event, fireworks lit up the skies and faces of onlookers, welcoming the newcomers and locals alike.
This town is where it all started for me, right? I love this place. I love Phil. Phil's a part of that. Phil changed my life.
As the sun began to rise over the knob, members of the inner circle marched down the crowd and pulled the long-awaited Phil from his stump on stage. And listened in for his prediction.
I couldn't imagine a better fate. With my shadow I have cast than a long, lustrous 6 more weeks of winter.
For Channel 14 News, I'm Rebecca Vaughn.
Last week, the Federal Election Commission released the finance reports for Pennsylvania's candidates for the U.S. Senate. Micah Leith has the story. Coming up, we're going to have a quick PSA, and then we'll be back with news from around the nation. A state of emergency has been declared in the Canadian capital of Ottawa after demonstrations against COVID-19 vaccine and testing rules have completely disrupted the city for a second week in a row. John Loring has the latest.
We need more help.
Ottawa's police chief says the city is under siege.
A nationwide insurrection driven by madness. There is no concrete plan for such a scenario.
The chief is now asking the mayor's office for a significant increase in resources to deal with a flood of protesters opposing COVID policies, which began with truckers calling themselves the Freedom Convoy, who are opposing a recent mandate requiring drivers entering Canada to be fully vaccinated or face testing and quarantine requirements.
We are stretched to the limit, but we are 100% committed to using everything we have to end this demonstration. We cannot do it alone. That is why I have been advocating for all three levels of government to bring whatever they can bring to bear on the permanent, sustainable, lawful, safe resolution of this demonstration.
The mayor declared a state of emergency for the city, citing the serious danger and threat to the safety and security of residents posed by the ongoing demonstrations. The mayor also says they're trying to end protests peacefully and are not trying to rile up the protesters, fearing if they do, demonstrations may take a darker turn.
When you're trying to put out a fire, you don't throw oil on it. We don't want to see the kind of activity and loss of life that we saw in the Capitol just a year ago in Washington.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
The mayor of Minneapolis Friday announced a moratorium on no-knock warrants in the city. His action comes in the wake of the police shooting death of a man in his apartment this week. Amir Locke was shot by Minneapolis officers after they entered and startled Locke, who was sleeping on a couch. Lou Regus shows us the body cam video and goes back more than a year to what the mayor said at the time about no-knock warrants.
Mayor Jacob Frey proudly announced a police policy change in November 2020 regarding what are known as no-knock warrants, where police don't announce their presence before entering a home to serve a warrant. He even said SWAT team members were on board.
They'll tell you it's actually better for their own safety to announce beforehand. It's better for their own safety to continuously announce their presence and their purpose before they've breached the threshold or the doorway, and then continuously throughout.
Frey claimed on his website that he banned no-knock warrants. In reality, the new unannounced entry policy just required officers to announce themselves as police and their purpose as search warrant before crossing the threshold of the door.
Police search warrant! Police search warrant!
When viewing the body camera video of the shooting of Amir Locke, his family's attorneys questioned whether the announcement was made prior to crossing the threshold.
Police search warrant! Police search warrant!
There's no announcement prior to entering that threshold. They barge in before they ever identify themselves, and they give Amir no time to save his own life.
The Minneapolis police SWAT team was serving the warrant for St. Paul Police, whose sources tell KARE 11 were investigating the murder of Otis Elder, who was found shot to death next to his SUV on Pryor Avenue on January 11th. A search warrant filed today by the BCA says officers believe the homicide suspect was located at the Bolero Flats apartment when they were executing search warrants there, including the one that led to Locke's death.
In a statement, the mayor says the no-knock warrant moratorium will stay in place, quote, until a new policy is crafted, end quote. The city will bring in two national experts, DeRay McKesson and Dr. Pete Kraska, to review Minneapolis police policy and suggest revisions. They helped create Breonna's Law in memory of Breonna Taylor, a black woman shot and killed by Louisville, Kentucky police in March of 2020.
President Joe Biden announced U.S. Special Forces killed top ISIS leader Abu Ibrahim al-Hashimi al-Qurashi Wednesday night. It happened during an overnight counterterrorism mission in northwest Syria. According to Syrian volunteer rescue group The White Helmets, 13 people, including 6 children and 4 women, were killed in the clash. The Pentagon confirmed there were no U.S. casualties, but revealed no other details of the mission, only calling it, quote, successful, end quote. Residents say they heard helicopters, explosions, machine gun fire, and what sounded like drone strikes. The military also carried out at least 2 other missions targeting al-Qaeda leaders in recent months in the area. Defense officials have admitted one of them may have resulted in civilian casualties, but have not confirmed that. The latest mission was the largest U.S. raid in Syria since 2019. The Washington National Cathedral tolled its funeral bell 900 times on Monday to mark a sobering milestone in the pandemic: 900,000 Americans who have died of COVID-19. The bell started tolling at 5 p.m. and took more than an hour to toll once every 1,000 Americans who have passed away since the start of the pandemic. Normally, the 12-ton bell is tolled for every funeral held at the cathedral. According to Johns Hopkins University, the U.S. is now averaging nearly 2,500 new deaths each day. That's a 3% increase from last week. However, the good news is that COVID-19 cases are on the decline. JHU says cases are now a third of what they were 3 weeks ago.
At least one person is dead after a reported shooting at a Fred Meyer grocery store in Richland, Washington. The Benton County Coroner's Office confirmed the death. Local police are asking for the public's health in identifying a suspect. The Kennewick Police Department says the suspect could be considered armed and dangerous. At least 2 schools in the area have been placed on lockdown. Residents are being asked to avoid the area. According to a new study, the highest glacier on the world's tallest mountain is losing massive amounts of ice every year due to climate change. Mount Everest's South Col Glacier has lost 2,000 years worth of ice in just 2.5 decades. That's the conclusion of a study published in Nature Portfolio Journal Climate and Atmospheric Science. The goal of the study was to find out if climate change affects such remote glaciers. The answer, according to their researchers, is a resounding yes. Rapid glacier melt at high altitudes like this could bring worsening climate impacts. That includes more frequent avalanches and a drying up of water sources critical to roughly 1.6 billion people. That's all for national news. When we come back, we'll have Brock Owens with business and entertainment. But first, we have Joe Venzel outside with a brief weather update. Joe?
Beautiful day here outside the library at Waynesburg University, and here on WCTV I'm going to look into the forecast. How high and how low are we going to go? Are we going to go from or for the winter weather? Stay tuned on WCTV.
Hello, I'm Brock Owens here with your business and entertainment update. Amazon hopes to entice employees with bigger paychecks. The e-commerce and cloud computing giant is more than doubling its maximum pay base in the U.S. from $160,000 to $350,000 per year. According to an internal blog post on Monday, Amazon also said it will boost its overall compensation ranges for most jobs globally. These changes are in effect for corporate and technology workers. The spokesperson for Amazon wouldn't comment, but confirmed the authenticity of the blog post. Samsung's newest devices will also feature a new material. The electronics company has incorporated plastics from repurposed fishnets into its products. The new material will be revealed Wednesday when Samsung launches its new Galaxy devices. Citing a UN report, the company says 640,000 tons of fishnets are abandoned and discarded every year. They linger in the ocean, trapping marine life, damaging coral reefs, and sometimes ending up in our food and water sources. Frontier Airlines has announced its plans to buy Spirit Airlines for a reported nearly $3 billion. The deal could create the nation's 5th largest carrier. And according to the company, the combined airline could be more competitive against its larger rivals and give travelers more options in today's consumer watch. How experts say the deal could really impact flyers.
Frontier and Spirit joining forces. The two largest low-cost airlines in the U.S. are hoping to merge.
They have very similar business models, very low fares, fees for all the extras, things even like carry-on bags, but they are overall generally the cheapest way to fly.
And if the deal is approved, it would create the 5th largest airline in the nation. But what does this mega merger mean for flyers?
Probably not a good thing for the average American flyer, simply because having more airlines and more competition in the market generally drives down lower fares.
It's very rarely the case that airline mergers are good for the consumer, at least in the narrowest sense.
Experts agree that fares aren't likely to get any lower. It's still unclear what brand the two companies would fly under, but Frontier says the combined company would offer more than 1,000 daily flights to over 145 destinations. And travel experts say the merger could give travelers more options to fly to mid-sized cities as well as underserved regions.
You might start to see a lot of Caribbean islands that maybe never had budget service before. You might start to see a lot more interesting options to Mexico or to Central America.
Frontier and Spirit say the deal will allow them to grow and hire more employees. But before it becomes a reality, the merger has to be approved by federal antitrust regulators.
You don't have to worry about this in the context of your summer 2022 travel plans. It's going to take time for this merger to be approved by the Department of Justice.
For today's Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
The path to approval is still uncertain for Frontier and Spirit. The Biden administration has taken a much more aggressive approach on antitrust issues compared to the previous administration. It recently blocked an alliance between American and JetBlue that fell short of a full merger. Increasing competition in the airline industry is one of the issues that the Biden administration has cited as a priority. Two things the movie business loves: award season and a successful franchise. David Daniel has more on the Hollywood Minute.
The killer is a part of something in the past. This one just feels different.
There's more Scream ahead. The success of the 5th film in the franchise, more than $100 million in worldwide grosses on a budget of about $20 million, has prompted Paramount to greenlight a follow-up from the same directors and writers. Filming is expected to begin this summer.
It's just a man, Peter. Only another man.
The Power of the Dog has dominated this year's London Critics Circle Film Awards. The Oscar favorite was named Film of the Year. Jane Campion won Director of the Year. Benedict Cumberbatch was named Actor of the Year. And Supporting Actor of the Year went to Cody Smith-McPhee.
Oh, you hit the nail on the head because that was our goal.
Lin-Manuel Miranda is headed to Connecticut. The award-winning multi-hyphenate is this year's honoree for the Changemaker Gala at the Greenwich International Film Festival. Miranda is being honored May 25th for his work with the Miranda Family Foundation, which supports education, the arts, and social justice, as well as relief and rebuilding efforts in Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
That's all we have for business and entertainment. Coming up next, we have Caleb Yauger with your Waynesburg Sports Report.
Have you ever been to the Everly Library? If not, you should, because it's great. They have books of all different genres: history, biography, fiction. Try The Evolution of Life, Life of Pi, or Jurassic Park. So what if books aren't your thing? Try movies like Frozen, or TV shows like Lost. Books and DVDs aren't the only thing though. Take a trip to the second floor. Welcome to the Writing Center. These tutors will tell you everything you need to know about writing a paper, and they'll help revise your essays. Now let's head back down. Behold, the Knox Learning Center. Need to print something out 5 minutes before your next class because you procrastinated? No problem. You can also print off pictures of dogs. Because, well, you can. So grab your homework, laptop, and textbook, and study diligently. Bring your lunch too. Actually, you can't. That's illegal. Now you know the Everly Library. Stop by anytime. Seriously, it's open all week.
Hello and welcome back to Channel 14 News. I'm Caleb Yauger, and here's what's going on for Waynesburg University athletics. The women's basketball team played against the Teal Tomcats this past Wednesday night. The Yellow Jackets won big, 83-66, and that's due to the high scoring from multiple players. Sophomore Marley Wolf and senior Casey Castrol had 17 points apiece. Sophomore Avery Robinson chipped in 14 points, and senior Brooke Fuller ended the night with 12 points. The other forward, Madison Dayton, finished with 12 points as well. The team shot 44% from the field. The men's basketball team also traveled to Teal and came out victorious 68-56. Senior Matt Popek led all scorers with 26 points, shooting 3 of 6 from deep and going 5 of 7 from the free throw line. Sophomore Jansen Knotts had another solid night, picking up 17 points, and the double-double machine graduate student Nijan Kirkman put up 12 points and brought in 10 rebounds as well. But fortunes changed for both teams this past Saturday at the Rudy Marisa Fieldhouse. First, the women's team played the Chatham Cougars, and the Cougars controlled the tempo early, but at the end of the first 3 quarters, the score got closer and closer. In fact, Waynesburg had it within 5 at the end of the third, but it wasn't quite enough. A combination of Yellow Jacket turnovers and great shooting from Chatham sealed the game for the Cougars, and with the 63-52 loss, the Lady Jackets broke a 3-game winning streak. The Waynesburg forwards were putting in the work, though. Fuller had 15 points and 9 rebounds, and Dayton had 11 points with 7 rebounds. Chatham's Maddie Grenz led all scorers in the game with 23 points, going 8 of 13 from the field. The men's game was the second game of the doubleheader, and the atmosphere was electric at the Fieldhouse. Seth Evans was there to cover the game.
Waynesburg University men's basketball looked to stay on pace with the PAC tournament race, but came up short this past Saturday against the Chatham Cougars in a game that, regardless of outcome, never had a dull moment for both sides. The first half of the game was notable for sophomore Jensen Knotts taking the reins as the team leader in scoring, as the forward was able to notch 15 points in the afternoon, while also being able to fit in 3 rebounds and assists apiece, and arguably his most memorable performance of the season thus far. That's not to say that the team was void of contribution from its other starters, as Matt Popek and Nijan Kirkman combined for 20 points and 11 rebounds on the day, with Popek 7 rebounds leading his squad. Despite shortening the Cougars' lead to 4 with just under 7 minutes left in the contest, lockdown defense by Chatham, as well as costly turnovers by the Yellow Jackets, cut the comeback short, forcing Waynesburg to fall to 12-8 on the season, with only 5 more games left on the docket for the men to improve their standing in the impending PAC tournament. The first of those 5 will take place this Thursday, as Waynesburg travels up the road to Washington and Jefferson for what will be a crucial game for both squads as the regular season comes to a close. For WCTV Sports, I'm Seth Evans.
Up next for both teams, it's a crucial PAC matchup just up the road in Washington tomorrow night. The Yellow Jackets take on the Washington and Jefferson Presidents in a doubleheader. The women's game is at 6 and the men's game is at 8. And the women's and men's indoor track teams this past Saturday went to Alliance, Ohio, which is where the University of Mount Union is located. They competed in the Jim Woosk Invitational. There was no team scoring, but there were individual results. Junior Michaela Rose placed 5th in the 200 meters and 4th in the 60 meters. Sophomore Jula Anderson finished 10th in the mile run with a 5:51.50 time slot. Sophomore Gabrielle Reef-Snyder placed 8th in the 5,000 meters. In the field events, junior Catherine Henderson had top 4 finishes in 3 events. 3rd in the triple jump, 4th in the high jump, and 4th in the long jump. Now to the men's results. Sophomore Isaiah Matthews took 8th place after marking a 7.29 time twice in the 60 meters competition. Sophomores Luke Weissel and Andrew Casper had top 10 finishes in the 5,000 meters. Weissel finished 7th and Casper finished 9th. For the field events, sophomore Kai Herbert took 9th place in the high jump after clearing 1.81 meters. Freshman Garrett Hillard and sophomore Aiden Sheely were the leaders for the Yellow Jackets. Sheely took 11th in the shot put and 17th in the weight throw. Hillard took 13th place in the weight throw and 17th in the shot put. For both men's and women's squads, it's the PAC Indoor Championships next on the schedule, which is coming up on Thursday, February 24th. And speaking of PAC Championships, that's coming up this Saturday for Waynesburg Wrestling. Teal College and Washington and Jefferson College are coming to the Rudy Marisa Fieldhouse for the competition as well. It all starts at 10 a.m. Lots of events are going on at the Fieldhouse on Saturday, so make sure you catch all the coverage on the Waynesburg University Sports Network. And that's everything for Waynesburg Sports. Stay tuned for Joe Venzel next with the weather right here on Channel 14.
You're watching WCTV, where we aim to bring you the best local coverage of what you care about most. Everything from local businesses to hometown sports and the latest weather. We're keeping up to date with what you need to know about issues that affect our campus and our community. We're telling the stories that matter, celebrating our past, our future, and our potential. So tune in for all the latest buzz right here on WCTV Channel 14, Waynesburg.
Overcast throughout most of the day. Wednesday shooting up to a scorching 47 degrees, moving away from the winter weather, and then in the evening a low of 33. Overcast throughout the day. Once again, Thursday we drop back down to 36 degrees as the high, 25 being the low of that day, and overcast morning until the evening. We shoot back up to a high of 46 on Friday and a low of 39 with partly sunny skies, beautiful weather heading into the weekend. Saturday, we will see a little bit of showers throughout most of that day, 58% chance starting at 9 a.m. with a high of 39 and a low of 15. Sunday, we go back to below freezing highs with a high of 79, a low of 14 with sun most of the day. Valentine's Day, we have a high of 31 degrees, low of 14 degrees with clouds most of the lovely day. Lastly, Tuesday, we have a high of 34, a low of 24. The sun will be shining throughout the day. This has been your weather report. Now back to Jared and Rachel.
Thank you, Jared, thank you, Joe, for the weather update. Like Joe was just saying, Valentine's Day is coming up in less than a week. It's on Monday. Do you have any specific Valentine's Day plans that you're getting ready for?
Well, I'm not a big Valentine's Day guy, but I will say with everything going on, I'm excited to see a lot of people cheered up and some high morale.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely be sharing a lot of love here on WCTV. But that's all we have for you today. For Rachel Pellegrino, Jared Wiker, and the rest of the crew here today, thanks for tuning in to Channel 14 News on Waynesburg University's YouTube channel, WCTV.
This has been a production of Waynesburg Community Television.